you ask me who my favorite action or hero or character is, it will definitely be the martini-sipping, poker-playing James Bond, particularly in the reboot starring Daniel Craig. For those of you who have lived under a rock for the past 60 years, James Bond, codenamed 007, is a super savvy spy employed by British Secret Service MI6. He's been played most notably by Timothy Dalton, Pierce Brosnan, Roger Moore, and the late Sean Connery, but the latest reboot stars Daniel Craig. James Bond's official rank is Commander in Her Majesty's Royal Navy, and he's known for his cunning and resourcefulness in the field. Being part of MI6's elite 00 Black Ops team, he's a brave and skilled fighter. Most notably, Bond is the consummate playboy, seducing a new beautiful woman during every world-saving mission. But at Casino Royale, we realize that Bond's game is not as strong as it seems. Now, true, Bond is hard. Casino Royale is one of my favorite Bond flicks, but in that movie, Bond becomes a sucker for love. In this episode of From a Different Lens, we're going to call this Bond, the Sucker for Love.
So break it down. How's Bond's game weak?
He's so cool in the face of danger. He's always 2 or 3 steps ahead of his foes, and they can never predict his moves. Normally, women swoon whenever he enters the room, and Bond plays them like fiddles. But it becomes an absolute sucker for love for this film's Bond girl, Vesper Lynd. Upon her introduction, he is a completely different agent. As soon as he meets her, Bond loses his edge and becomes reactionary to adversity. Because his nose is so wide open for Vesper, he even almost gets himself killed. So we'll look at some examples of each side of Bond. We'll look at him BV before Vesper and AV after Vesper. We'll start with BV. From the first scene, we're introduced to the Bond that we all know. It's his first official 00 mission, and he's got to kill Section Chief Dryden, who was selling government secrets in Prague. In the flashback of this flashback, we find that Bond has already killed Dryden's contact. Now he's here to finish the job and kill Dryden. Dryden bluffs, thinking that Bond can be manipulated. As he berates Bond, he stealthily reaches into his desk drawer to retrieve his hidden pistol. Dryden suddenly draws his weapon on Bond, and calmly Bond holds up the clip that he's already taken from Dryden's gun. It's like, bye-bye, Dryden, you're no match for Bond. Now, as I mentioned, he's a resourceful and skilled agent. There's a snake versus mongoose pit fight in Madagascar, and Bond and another agent are closing in on suspected bomb maker Malaka Donzo. Donzo makes the novice agent and runs. Bond gives chase. The amazing pursuit takes us through a full-on construction, must-wear a hard hat past this point area, full of close calls for Bond. Donzo makes it to the Mobutu embassy and runs inside for safety. Now, international protocol demands that embassies be treated like foreign soil. They're above domestic laws and jurisdiction. Bond illegally enters this embassy, whoops the embassy administrator, recovers Donzo, fights the embassy's armed forces, but is eventually cornered. However, even though it seems he is caught, Bond has physically positioned himself so that he's able to kill Donzo, stun the army, and escape from the embassy all in one move. I mean, this boy is bad. Next, Bond has discovered information that's led him to the Ocean Club. It's a luxurious 5-star resort located in Paradise Island in the Bahamas. The place is full of security. Ultra exclusive, right? The ultra exclusive resort's guests are so stuck up that one mistakes Bond for the valet and rudely tosses his keys at Bond. Now, Bond needs access to this surveillance system at the resort, and asking to view hotel security cameras because you're a British spy is probably not going to be the fastest way to get the information. So how does Bond overcome this? Bond takes the haughty guest's car and crashes it in the parking lot. The diversion occupies the security team, and Bond gets time to access the surveillance system. The boy is slicker than grease, and with all that time, he finds his target, Alex Demetrius. This is all before he even checks into the resort. All he needs now is Demetrius' room number, right? I mean, when he does check in, Bond is so smooth that the receptionist doesn't even ask for his name. And additionally, the receptionist unwittingly gives Bond information on Demetrius, including his nearby home address. Smooth. Later, but still at the Ocean Club, Bond has managed to get a seat playing poker in a game with Demetrius. Demetrius' wife, Solange, gracefully walks into the room and sweetly kisses her husband. He rebuffs her affection, and shortly after, he loses his money and his car to Bond in one swift hand of poker. Now, angry at the loss and distracted by a text message, Demetrius rushes off from the poker table. In his haste, he winds up leaving Solange alone at the bar. Now, I've already told you, Bond must seduce at least one lovely woman per mission. Solange is a baddie, and Bond is on a mission, so you know what's going down. All Bond needed was that little window of how her husband treated her, neglected her, and even left her at the bar. From that small bit of their interaction, before Vesper Lynd knew just how to come at Solange. He catches up with her at the valet station. He picks her brain, gives her a few compliments. Within an hour, he has her back at the Ocean View Villa, shoes off and making out on the floor. A lonely and neglected wife, Bond has easily excited Solange and awakens desires that she has not felt in a long time. And she's now ready to do anything, including give Bond information regarding her husband. But to add player insult to player injury, Bond gets Solange all worked up, obtains the information he needs, knowing that she's being used, and around Solange lustfully drifts off to the bedroom.
Yes.
Bond, however, surreptitiously slips out of the villa.
No, for one.
Bond is not only the client, he's the player president. Now we'll do one more BB example just to sum up what I like about James Bond. Now he's tracked Danzo's replacement Carlos to the Miami International Airport. Carlos has come to the airport in order to complete the mission that Danzo and Demetrius had set up, which is to blow up a new prototype jumbo jet, the Skyfleet S-570. Carlos creates chaos by engaging a fire alarm in the airport. In the frenzy, people run and scream for safety. Carlos hijacks a fuel truck, attaches a small keychain bomb to the frame, and speeds across the runway with the intent to destroy the airplane. Bond has to navigate through the crowds, identifies Carlos in the truck, and chases and catches him, risking his life as they fight for control of the vehicle. Carlos jumps from the truck and leaves Bond and his tanker barreling towards this airplane, and Bond is barely able to stop the truck at the last second before it collides with the airplane. It's still a bomb, right? Carlos smirks as he clicks his detonator. But what he doesn't know is that during the fight, Bond has removed the keychain from the truck and attached it to Carlos's belt loop. Carlos is the only casualty of the explosion. The point here is that before Vesper, Bond never failed his mission and never let the bad guy get away. But now let's look at after Vesper, because when Bond meets Vesper, everything falls apart. Remember how easily he seduced Solange? He only needed to see a little bit of her life and just talk to her for a bit, and she was putty in his hands. His game does not work out that easy with Vesper. He meets her on the train ride to the Casino Royale in Montenegro. Now, Bond's mission has led him to the casino for a high-stakes poker game. The game had been set up by the architect of the failed plot to destroy the airplane. His name is Lashif. Bond's mission is to go and win the game, thus bankrupting Lashif and preventing further criminal activities. Now, I don't even know why Bond is attracted to Vesper. Unlike Solange, how she had glided into the poker room, Vesper just comes and plops down at the seat of Bond's dining car table. During dinner, Bond tries to charm Vesper, but to no avail. She admonishes the mission's objective, and she does not hesitate to voice her disdain. Bond then tries to rally her by attempting to psychologically profile her, but instead of being rattled, she shoots right back with her own analysis of Bond, and that just shuts him up. Imagine Bond with no quick comeback. During the cab ride from the train station to the hotel, she keeps the icy demeanor and Bond cannot crack her. Later that evening, she buys him an expensive dinner jacket, revealing that she thinks that Bond's own clothes are not up to par for the evening. Now, before Vesper, Bond had women eating out of the palm of his hand. Eventually, she professes her love for Bond, but we find out that she has an ulterior motive. And Bond should have known he was being played. Vesper always wears a trinket, an Algerian love knot that Bond deduced was given to her from another man. Why is he so in love with her when he knows she has someone else? Okay, so you say that's one slip up. What else? Well, remember how Bond arrived unnoticed at the Ocean Club? It was so low-key that he did not even have to give his name at the registration desk. That Bond was smooth. But this one, after one train ride and after one cab ride, he's different. The mission has Bond going undercover as Adrian Beach, a crime syndicate gambler. After Vesper, Bond strides right up to the registration desk of the Hotel Splendid in Montenegro and blows his cover. I can't even stretch this out. He just walks up to the front desk, gives his full government name, and even discloses that the reservation is under the name of Beach. After Vesper, Bond has just lost all his tact, and he's unnecessarily put himself in danger as well. Because of that slip-up, the villain, Lashif, now knows that there's no crime syndicate gambler. He knows Beach is Bond, and that Bond is in fact a British agent. With this knowledge, Lashif later has his henchwoman poison Bond's famous drink, a vodka martini, shaken not stirred. Bond almost checks out from the poison, And although he has to swiftly react to stay alive, it's his fault that he got poisoned in the first place. Remember, after Vesper Bond failed to conceal his identity at the hotel registration and put the target on his own back. He's lost all that before Vesper smoothness. Before, Vesper Bond always showed skill at putting himself in the best position to thwart his opponents. Earlier we saw a good example of that when he's at the Nabutu embassy. Now let's fast forward to after Vesper. Now with his new dinner jacket given to him by Vesper, Bond is now set to gamble at Le Chiffre's high-stake poker game. As the best poker player in MI6, Bond knows the importance of the cards in poker, but he also knows that it's even more important to play against your opponent's personalities.
Okay.
Any sign of weakness shown can be manipulated, and any distraction can exasperate a weakness. Beauty is always a distraction, so Bond buys a gorgeous evening gown for Vesper. Before the game, he instructs her that she's to enter the poker room from a direction so that the other players' eyes will be on her and not on their cards. Bond did not realize that there was only one entrance to the poker room. The way Bond is sitting, he's almost the only poker player that even sees Vesper enter the room. Thus, Bond is the only one that's even slightly distracted by her beauty. Before Vesper, he was all about position, but after Vesper, his position in the room hindered him. Now, Bond has already proved that he was way too smart to let someone get the drop on him, because we know this from his previous before Vesper run-in with Section Chief Dryden. He's always a step ahead of everyone until he meets Vesper. So let's jump to almost the end of the film. Now, Bond has won the poker game, secured the $150 million jackpot. He's the only one that knows the password and the bank information. So what does Bond do? He confesses his love for Vesper and subsequently lounges in the hotel as she leaves to collect the money and turn it over to the enemy. Wait, I'm sorry. Did I mention that he gave her the bank information and the password? Yeah, he did that. And he did that as he toyed around with the idea of resigning his job and running away with her. Oh, and did I mention that she turned out to be a double agent? Yeah, this fool gave the bank information and the password to a double agent. But luckily he realizes that she's stealing the money. And again, it's luck. He's got to react after this fact. He chases her down and almost gets killed by numerous enemy henchmen. And we realize that A.V. Bond is clearly not a step ahead of Vesper because he's so blinded by his love of her. That chase segues to my last point. The scene is Venice, Italy. Bond chases Vesper through the narrow streets and over the many canals. At the end of the trail, he watches her hand the money over to the enemy agent, Adolf Gettler. Noticing Bond, Gettler quickly double-crosses Vesper. He takes her as a hostage and eventually traps her in a dilapidated elevator of an abandoned building. After killing Gettler and his henchmen, Bond attempts to save Vesper from the elevator. But the building begins to collapse and the elevator sinks underwater. Feeling guilty as she should, Vesper actually kills herself, but love-struck Bond is still so in love that he breaks the lock of the elevator and rescues her lifeless body. A final villain, Mr. White, is seen leaving the scene with the briefcase containing the money. Unlike the Skyfleet S-570 campaign, Bond has failed to complete his mission and the bad guy got away. Now we can argue that Mr. White doesn't actually get away since later Bond shoots him in the leg on the last scene of the movie. However, it's still after Vesper Bond reacting, and there's no argument that by this point the money is long gone. So I'll say it again, James Bond is my dude. He's charming, intelligent, a jack of all trades, and definitely a ladies' man. But like KRS-One taught us, love's gonna get you, and love changed Bond tremendously. Losing that love made him a beast, but we'll talk about that when we examine the next Daniel Craig Bond film, Quantum of Solace. If you like our show, please hit the like button and please subscribe to our channel for more information like this. But until then, we hope you enjoyed James Bond from a different lens.
Oh,